You more of an Android or a iOS guy?
Oh, I'm Android all the way.
Are you okay? I just recently crossed over. So I used to work for Verizon for 12 years out of college, and
Mhm.
one of the roles that I had was doing device testing. So I had the pleasure of being able to like test all the devices. So I have my hands on many Android devices over the years. So I've been using them for so long, but I just maybe less than a month now switched over to an iPhone because I do a lot of stuff on my iPad, like my tutoring, my music production, video editing, all that stuff.
Uh,
And I gotta say, man, I'm liking it a lot right now. I'm really liking it. It's a breath of fresh air. It's something different, you know.
yeah, well, the only reason why I have I borrowed the iPhone that I have here from my girl because she said she
Uh-huh.
had an extra one, and so I only literally use that phone for Clubhouse and for Instagram. That's it.
Got you. Yeah, because Clubhouse is exclusive to iOS as of now, right?
Yeah, yeah, they should be opening up to Android at some point. Probably I would say probably the end of the first quarter or second quarter of the year.
Yeah. You've been on. Let's kind of start with that, man, because I'm absolutely fascinated with what that app is in its simplest form. I mean, you've been using it, so I want to hear your feedback. But in the simplest form, like it's like a conference call for any topic that you want that you could imagine, and you can just hop in and you're just listening and you're participating, and it seems really cool, man.
Yeah, I feel like it's a speaking stage meets podcast meets conference meets
Mm-hmm.
conference call, right?
Mm-hmm.
All at the same time. For me, I initially wasn't even going to get on Clubhouse. I was just like, what I'm not going to do is buy a device for Clubhouse, and so I ended up, getting in that situation where, she was able to let me borrow it or whatever. And after day one, day two came along, and I started talking about. You may have seen this if you follow my all my Instagrams, but one of my Instagrams I have is the Veal brand, right, which is
Mm-hmm.
education, business, and credit consulting. And so I jumped into a room that was sponsored by the Hustlers Club, and which is now one of the largest clubs. They have over 38,000 members now, and I got made basically into one of the main moderators for the club. And so I
Mm-hmm.
started talking about financial literacy and credit stuff, and I started contributing to the conversation. Next thing I knew, second day two, I wouldn't even own Clubhouse to be in moderating. I just want to just learn stuff and sit in on
Mm-hmm.
conversations.
Right, right.
Knew, became a moderator of the room. And then once that happened, all the gems that I kept dropping, people kept on inboxing me. My inboxes were like flooded, and I kept on getting requests to start moderating other rooms and everything that dealt with credit and financial literacy. And then I did, and then people was like, "Man, we see your profile about education." The next thing I knew, I was in the education rooms, and I started starting those rooms. So I've only been on the app, bro, like 9 days, and I
Yeah.
already got like about 3,000 followers, and I've moderated 13 rooms.
That
So
is wild. So it just blew up immediately just from you going there and just talking about what you know and what you're passionate about, educating others, not even going in with the plan to say, oh, I'm trying to, and I don't even know what being a moderator, I guess, entailed. I guess it means you could invite other people and things like that.
yeah, so you moderator is one of the main speakers on the stage. They're able to invite other people to the stage. They're able to kind of control the room, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So those that are, if you go to a regular conference and you have moderators, they're going to control the conversation. They're going to ask the questions of the audiences. They're going to make sure that the room is controlled correctly. They're going to space out time. They're going to reset the room, like all those
Yeah.
things is what a moderator does. But the moderator is kind of like is past being on stage. So the hierarchy is like you're in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Then from the audience, you go on stage.
Mm-hmm.
From the stage, you become a moderator. From a moderator, you become a club owner, right?
Ah,
So
okay.
that's kind of how the hierarchy goes. The way that the algorithm works, and by the way, I used to work for Verizon as well. So when I
Ah,
went
wow.
back,
Okay.
so um, the way that the algorithm works in Clubhouse is way different than the other ones, which is basically the more you moderate and speak, the more you'll be able to get chances, if you will, to start your own rooms, right?
Mm,
And then the more you start your own rooms, I think it's the 3 or 4, more you start your own rooms and you continue to do that on a basis, that is when they'll give you the keys to like start your own club.
wow.
So it's kind of the more you interact and the more you participate, the better with Clubhouse. And like I said, for me, I'm averaging like what 2,000, almost 3,000 followers like every 9 days. Like
Mm.
so it's crazy.
That's exciting, man. A whole new platform to be able to explore and find ways to kind of, have it work for you in terms of what your, I guess, ultimate goals are with your business and everything with INC.
Right.
So I appreciate you sharing that, man. Definitely. I haven't, I've only spent, less than an hour, maybe like 30 minutes or so, like in the past couple of weeks, kind of just going, and I haven't really like dove in just yet, but just in the times that I have had a chance to kind of do it, I'm just like, all right, this, especially like this seems like something that's right up my alley, right? Being able to talk and educate others as well as learning, like these are the two things that I love the most in terms of like the space.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to put a little bit more time in there for sure.
Well, in the rooms, and once you go, if you get a chance to go into the education rooms,
Yeah.
definitely go in them. Or if there's anything that I'm doing, definitely tap in. Tomorrow we have, I think, there's an education room tomorrow. My Instagram has been blowing up in the education
Hmm.
moderator group that I was in.
Hmm.
So now I have like an education moderator group on Instagram. I have
Yeah.
a credit and financial literacy moderator group. And so between both of them, I'm always getting bouncing back and forth between both of them. And folks know about kind of what I'm doing with the tutoring company. Matter of fact, tonight, can't be released yet. So I've only told individuals I'm cool with.
Yeah.
But just got chosen tonight, man, by South by Southwest. I'm gonna be one of their mentors for the South by Southwest EDU
Oh,
conference,
wow.
which is huge. So
Congratulations. That's awesome. Yeah.
yeah, man. So they will announce. I think South by Southwest will announce all the speakers and mentors for the conference at the end of the month. So I was like, man, I've been trying to either speak on the stage or be a mentor to people in the education space for like 2 years. I just kept on not getting it, and I just
Mm.
happened to log in my email today, and it said, "Congratulations, you've been chosen as a mentor for the South by Southwest EDU conference." And I was like, "Yo, dope! Finally." Came through.
Perseverance, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm proud to do that for education and continue to talk about to lead. You know what I'm saying? So
I'd be remiss not to mention. So I definitely know about South by Southwest. I don't remember what month it is, and so for me and for my audience, if we wanted to be able to check you out and see you speak, is if I understand correctly, being a mentor, is that giving you opportunity to speak, or is that actually mentoring people? What does that entail?
so mentoring is actually so you have a block. I want to say a couple hours, and there's 15-minute or maybe 20-minute blocks of being able to mentor individuals who are in the education and ed tech space. So
Wow. Okay.
I get a chance to really talk about really my experiences, how I can help them in
Mm.
my pathway as a founder, right? And be able to give them different bits and pieces and gems about how I can help them in their journeys, or kind of give them pieces of my journey and how what I've done may be able to help them. But like I said in the email, they specifically put, "Do not really, do not release this yet, because we will make the announcement at the end of the month for everybody. So just keep it
Got it. Got
close."
it. So this, yeah, for sure, for sure. That's really exciting, man. I'm happy to hear that. I could see the excitement, and just like you said, just knowing that it's something that you've been trying for a while, but you haven't let the no's discourage you. You let the no's say, all right, well, this is still something that I want to do. I'm just gonna continue staying the course and doing what it is that you're doing with the tutoring stuff, which we're gonna dive into next, because I need to I need to say, man, hitting you up when we both were featured on that the Black Business page and getting that feature for myself. It was late at night, 1 in the morning or something, and I see that, and I know about that page because someone reached out to me from there a while back, because to do like a feature or something, like a paid feature kind of thing, right? And I was, at the time, I was kind of thinking about wanting to start putting some money and investing in getting my content out there. And I'm like, well, what better place than a Black owned company? So I was kind of,
Right.
mulling it over and stuff like that. And that was like a month prior. And then to see that they recognized me, my first thought, like I was just
Yeah.
really excited, first of all. And then I was
Yeah.
also just really curious to know, like, where and how did you guys know about me? I'm small, I'm in New Jersey, I'm just kind of getting started off and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's dope to know that that you're in your lane and being noticed, without, I guess, deliberately doing things to try to get noticed for the right reasons. It was just super exciting. So obviously I hit you up that night and I checked out your content, and I'm like the first thing that came to my mind was, let me connect with this brother. I checked your page. You hit me up with the Black Tutor social media account,
Right.
which we can definitely talk about a little bit as well. But I was just really excited for the opportunity to chat with you, and hear about your experience. And kind of, I want to start off. I'm going to tee it up and start off by asking the question of, with INC,
Mhm.
in a big picture, what gave you the idea to say, okay, I want to start a tutoring business?
Yeah, so my original background, it was in IT and tech, right? I left the tech space in 2008, and then I went into the classroom, right? And at the time, I was like, I was in tech doing my thing in healthcare IT, and I kept getting these emails that was like, "Hey, come look at this informational set about being an educator," and I was like, "That's not what I was planning on doing. I was planning on being a CIO of Fortune 100 companies." And so, I kept getting that email like 3 times, and I was like, okay, well, maybe God's trying to tell me something. God is like, I don't care what you thought you were going to do. This is not what I thought I'm going to have you do. So I was just like, okay, cool. So I just, went aside to the informational session, and I ended up liking it, right? And so I said, okay, cool. Let me just make the transition. So I ended up leaving my job in tech and going into the education space, and I was tasked with being able to teach really at my alma mater. I graduated at Townview Magnet Center, Science Engineering Magnet High School. I was 12 years old as a freshman. I graduated when I turned 16, so I was young when I came out. And then going back to go teach there was kind of came full circle for me. So they were like, "Hey, your first year in, you're going to teach this class called Fast Track Mathematics." And I'm like, "What is that?" And they were like, "Well, you got to teach 3 years of pre-AP math to freshmen in 1 year." And I was like, "Huh?" I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
So, um, first of all, how is that going to happen? So, basically, the way that the class is structured, you teach the whole academic calendar year of pre-AP geometry. And then while you're doing that, you teach the whole year of Algebra 2 first semester. You
Mm,
flip it second semester, teach the whole year of pre-AP pre-calculus. And then at the end of the year, they're completed. So man, I did that for the end of my term. First year out the gate, first year teaching, didn't know nothing about teaching. All my kids got 100% perfect scores on the state exam. And
what?
I was like, yo, I got a gift for this.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I was like, cool. So I'm gonna keep going. So next year I taught at what I teach at Cedar Hill. Yeah. So Cedar Hill ninth grade center, did Algebra 1. Then the next year I did Uplift Education Charter School System, started the AP Calculus program there, did pre-calculus, and became a semi-instructional coach. And then I was a JV and varsity girls basketball coach, which was different. So as an assistant coach, so that was crazy.
Yeah.
And I left that and then went to Duncanville High School, did Algebra 2 and math models, was real successful there. And then after that, I got a call from Microsoft, and I was offered a role in something I couldn't refuse. So I ended up going back into tech for 2 more years. And then I was like, you know what? I like education still more. I got more of a passion for it, even though I like tech. So I was like, man, I'm gonna hop back out to education again. So this time I was like, I'm not going back in the classroom though. Not the fact that I didn't like it or that I didn't
Mm,
want to. I was just, it would be bored for me. It would be boring for me because I had already mastered what I was doing, right?
mm,
I was the youngest person in Dallas at the time who had taught every single math in high school known to man from pre-AP regular and AP level in only 4 years. So
mm,
I went up the chain very fast. And so then um, I said, okay, well, what else can I do? I have to, do something in leadership. So I got offered a role being a campus instructional coach at Adamson High School in Dallas. And so I was over 13 math educators. The school, when I came in, it was at a 52% failing rate for Algebra 1 and math. After my year term, brought that campus up to 92% in a year. So that was pretty dope. And then after that, I was like, okay, cool. What else can I conquer? So at this point, I'm just like, what else can I do? Right. So I'm just, I'm getting it in. So then I was offered a promotion role at DeSoto district as a STEM instructional district level coach. So this time I was over 7 schools. So I was over tech, math, and science educators in the district with my colleague. And so did that, for a year and a half, implemented technology into 5 campuses for a program that was in partnership with the Department of Education in DC. So knocked that out, mentored the teachers in math and science, knocked that out, and got those campuses up to 84%. Left, and then I was like, okay, what else can I do now? So during the course of me being in education, I became an adjunct professor of mathematics at a university. So I did that, teaching developmental mathematics. I taught university level statistics. I taught college algebra. I taught college pre-calculus and all kind of different courses. So I did that for 4 years too. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back and do my thing in tutoring. So I started, I went back full time because I was doing part-time work, during this time, right? But I officially really started the tutoring company in the middle of 2015 in July. So now, with that timeline, I noticed there was a gap for what students of color were not getting inside the classroom for support and what they weren't getting outside the classroom for support. And that's when Inc. Tutoring was born, right? Now we're Inc. Education because we offer a lot more things, but I'll kind of go to that pathway in a little bit. So what happened was we really built a solution for students of color where we built solid relationships with them, the parents and the students from a deep level. Once we got done doing that, we included different stakeholders in our process. So parents, teachers, counselors, students, and our team to make sure that everybody's on one page academically and pedagogically. We mentor the students and provide back-end support. So all that is part of our system. Excuse me, is part of our system. So utilizing that, right? We ended up getting a 95% success rate of our students of color earning A's and B's in over 50 subjects company-wide. At this point, we've impacted over 11,000 students roughly. And we have a team now. I started a company knocking door to door, grassroots, bootstrap, on foot.
Yeah.
Capital money, no cash infusion, no investment money. I just, did it from my own pocket. And I did that for a whole year. Then I had my mom help me out with operations a little bit. And then eventually after a year, ended up getting put into Black Enterprise. That was my first media publication. I was at a Black Enterprise conference, ended up meeting the senior producer for Tom Joyner Morning Show and a senior producer for Steve Harvey's show. We talked about education, and then I ended up was like, hey, well, I own a tutoring company, so if you need help with your kids, let me know. So we ended up bartering, right? And we exchanged tutoring services for media exposure at the time, and that got Black Enterprise the first time. We've been featured now in over 60 media outlets. Our top liners, of course, you've seen probably. We've been in Forbes, we've been in Entrepreneur Magazine, we've been in Inc. I mean, not Inc. We've been in Business Insider, we've been in BE, we've been in Dallas Business Journal. I mean, like pretty much you name it, we've probably been in it. And it was all earned media. I've literally only paid once for media in 5 years. So everything else we earned. So being that said, now there's 105 of us nationwide. We have 105 tutoring consultants between Dallas, Fort Worth, Chicago, Austin, and Atlanta. I'm here in Atlanta right now. I moved here 2.5 months ago to expand the company deeper here in Atlanta and Charlotte. And then once we do that, we'll dive deep into Miami, which we just had a media publication come out with us in Miami about 3 weeks ago. Then we'll shoot out to San Francisco and the Silicon Valley, which if you look at my stuff on Facebook today, National Coalition of Black Women just announced our partnership with Silicon Valley. So That one, we're about to launch off, and then we'll hit up LA. And then we spoke to LA Urban League recently. So we're really making our move away, all of these different cities and places, just so our footprint is made and we
Yeah.
can make the impact for students of color. So at this point, we're an over $500,000 company. We will be $1 million organization by Q3 of this year. And we're going to continue to make that pathway. But for me, that's not necessarily the greatest thing, but the best thing is how can we continue to impact the students and their grades and make sure that our students of color are not only performing in the classrooms with our model, but they're also going to the colleges that they want and the universities that they want through our test prep, and then also being positive contributors of society once they get out. And they follow us. We've been following these students. They come into, on average, roughly 5 to 6 years. They'll stay with us and be tutored
Wow.
in our organization. So now, the reason why we moved from Inc. Tutoring to Inc. Education is because not only do we do tutoring and test prep now, we do tutoring for STEM subjects, test preps, English reading, writing, and foreign languages. We're the only tutoring company across the nation that goes from kindergarten all the way up to PhD.
Mm.
We don't have to leave our organization for nothing, literally. And then we do resume reviews and writing. We do literature reviews for physicians. We do ghostwriting and for authors who want to write books now.
Wow.
We also do professional development and workshops, and then we do academic coaching and counseling. So we do a lot. And at this point, we had to move from a tutoring company to an education company because tutoring just didn't fit anymore. Because our model has already expanded past that. So now, during the pandemic in March of this year, I mean of last year, I was sitting around and I was like, well, what else can we do to really impact students? And I was like, what if um, I could bring Black tutors together? That would be kind of dope. So um, anywhere, any major metroplex you ask in the United States, or you always ask them, where are the Black tutoring companies? I did my research and I just asked that question everywhere. And everybody was like, I don't know. I have never really worked with a Black owned tutoring company before. I've never seen one. And so to me, I found it disturbing. And I was just like, there's gotta be more tutoring companies somewhere that are
Yeah.
Black owned. And I was like, but the only one people kept hearing about was us because we were the only ones that were in all the top media, right? So
Hmm.
for me, I'm like, well, let me find this out. So I decided to just get a platform made, which was named it Black Tutors of Social Media, and it was built within mind to have Black-owned tutoring companies offer their services at large from a filter reactive system on the front end. So on the front end of this, you'll be able to go to the website now, and you'll be able to go and search for a city like Dallas, for example, or you can search for Texas, and it'll bring up all those tutors that are in that space. And when you click,
Mm.
you can filter women, man or male, female, virtual, in person, what content area, what grade level do you want? Are they special education? Right? Like all these things you can filter, and then the pictures will move around and you'll be able to get exactly what you need. Then when it comes to the person you're choosing, it'll not the data that comes up, right? It'll have the map of where they're located, their
Hmm.
bio, their picture, phone number, email address, like what they specialize in, what grade levels they're specializing in. All this will be done so you can get exactly, so those consumers who are looking for tutors can get exactly what they need. That's on the front end. On the back end, it's a 6-program nonprofit for tutoring services for severely disadvantaged students, financial literacy programs, entrepreneurship programs, mentorship programs, college tours, and also travel programs. So it's a hybrid ed tech nonprofit geared towards students of color. So that's kind of, and from an education standpoint, that's kind of what I'm doing now. And of course, I have a passion for financial literacy and credit. So I've been doing that for a couple of years at this point. Started a group on Facebook of about 1,600 people now, discussing those particular topics. And like I said, I've been talking about that on Clubhouse, and it's been kind of going like wildfire. So that's where I'm at.
That is so dope, man. I mean, this so much. I feel so inspired personally just because so much of what you just said, I can relate to all the stuff leading up into, you guys literally taking off, like literally taking off, meaning the tech background, meaning the corporate, having a passion of education and knowing that you started in one place, but you kind of know that this other space in the education is kind of what you really care about. It really spoke to me a lot. So I appreciate, everything you just said. I'm sitting here just listening. I'm like, I am feeling super inspired. So I appreciate that, like, for sure. Your experience in education being so vast, and how obviously there's a direct correlation to how well a job that you can do as a tutor, based on your experience and things like that. I'm going to ask the question of when you said you first got back into tutoring and you kind of had those ideas of, okay, I want to, take tutoring a little bit more seriously and do something, a little bit more special with it, a lot more special with it. At that time, did you have the idea in your head that I want to do this and make this become what it is today and what it's surely going to become even further down the road? Or were you like, I want this to be something that I do that can supplement, my full-time job that I'm doing, and kind of be doing both?
So when I came back, and actually I forgot another position. I've done too much in education, man. I've probably done everything but not be a principal at this point. I was also a math interventionist and working with special education students and those who were juniors and seniors who were behind. And I had to get them back up and make sure that I implemented intervention practices to make sure that they were successful as well before graduation. Um, so in lieu of that, when I came back in the game, I was like, this time I want to see if I will be able to take what I have and the knowledge that I have in mathematics and as a tutor myself, right? And see if I can actually scale a company. How can I really go from because to me there's a lot of levels to entrepreneurship, right? In this case, it's like, do I go from tutor? How do I go from tutor to founder? Totally different space, right? I can tutor anytime after work or as a side hustle or whatever. But when you're a true founder and you're really building a company like a Peter Thiel or a Bill Gates or a Elon Musk, like how do you transition your mindset from doing this part-time to scaling to ownership and being a real CEO? And so I took that thought process and kind of sat on it for a little while. When I came back in the game, it was like, I think I can do this. I just gotta really work hard. And so when I took it full time, I had already at that time I had already had some individuals in mind that can kind of be part of the team, and I brought individuals on the team, and it just kind of like the way that it just organically went off, like it just happened. I almost can't even remember what exactly occurred in the beginning from an HR perspective. It just happened. And so met a guy whose name is Clinton. He's now our COO. And he was tutoring at first, then became a business manager, then became a regional manager, and then became like the COO of the organization. And he's 26, a young cat too. Wow. Who had the same background that I did. He also was a freshman in high school at 12. He graduated at 16. We were just in different spaces, right? Yeah. But we did the same thing. And so eventually he was able to come in and help me out with the Frisco, Texas market because he was already in Frisco. I ended up moving to Frisco, and I was like, hey, I think we can grow this market by doing certain things. And we ended up, connecting with different organizations that could help us expand our tutoring reach to different students in different districts all at one time, right? From regular schools, common schools, to magnet schools, to private schools, to home schools, to everything, right?
Right.
We were able to do that. We did not traditionally follow the pathway of trying to go into the districts and move that way because the red tape was too thick. So we decided that the RFP route was not the way we wanted to go. There was too many people in the process. There was too many approvals that needed to be done, and students don't need help, 5 years from now. They need help today, right? So I was like, let's just go ahead and go this pathway. So eventually we continue to grow. And or like I said, organically, that's how it went. One thing I was actually talking to somebody else today, because there was somebody else who wanted us to be featured and do this video series for this other company that helps educators out. And they had found us. They said that they had been following me for a long time and had been like going across all my social medias and just really like doing that. And then eventually they were like, hey, we have a special series coming up and we want you to be involved in it. So I talked to them today. And one thing that I mentioned was that you, as an organization, we have really organically grown in an unconventional way. And what I mean by that is that we don't go outside our company really to hire people. We don't go to an Indeed. We don't go out and be like, hey, really, who wants to be a tutor in our company? 90% of the time, we're going to hire from individuals who are referred internally through our tutoring consultants. So I know somebody that is really phenomenal. They're an engineer and they're awesome at math. Then I'm gonna try and see if they want to work for the company. And that happened to one of my colleagues who actually graduated from the same high school that I did and went to Georgia Tech.
Wow.
Engineer, and now is a AP calculus teacher at a school, right? At one of the top schools in the nation. And so I was like, hey, and he was like, man, I would love to work in the company and be a tutor. And so boom, that's how we hired him.
Wow.
We ended up hiring med school students. We ended up having we got a whole University of Texas, UT Austin team. We have a whole, North Dallas. I mean, all of our teams were hired because somebody else referred them within. We got people from Goldman Sachs. We got Barclays investment bankers. I mean, we got people that are, in tech. The person out here that's a regional manager here in Atlanta, she works in tech as well, right? She I think is in management actually in tech. We got folks who are educators in the school system, those who are instructional coaches in the school system. We got people who are pharmacists. I mean, it's crazy the talent pool that we have. I mean, we have and like I said, we have tutors who are not only African American, but we have Hispanic, Asian, and Indian, and all that as well. But our team, if you really look at it, and I'm not even being funny or even being boastful when I say this, but we literally assembled the most competent and brilliant team of tutors you have ever seen in your entire life. Wow. And I almost don't even know how it happened. It just organically went, and here we are, 105 people strong. We scaled. Matter of fact, I'll show you real quick. Power in hiring a team that is a strong team internally. Let me see if I can show you real quick. But the way that we grew from a revenue perspective, right? From 2015 and literally actually from 2016, because there was some revenue that was generated outside of this platform before this came about. But from 2016, man, to now, we're in our 5th year. It's now 2021. We 12x'd our revenue from 2016 to 2021.
That's unprecedented.
It's crazy. So the chart, I'm about to show you that how the flow really looks. And let me see if it pops up. Yeah, there it goes. So when you look at the chart, I'll hide this part. But when you look at the chart, look at that chart.
Oh yeah, there you go. Wow. Okay.
Right.
Look at that.
That growth.
19 to 20 is effectively double, approximately.
Yeah. So and I say that to say, when you hire a team that is effective, it'll put you in places that you weren't before, and they're able to think in avenues that maybe you're not thinking in, and you can trust them to take the company in different places.
Right.
And stuff like that happens, right? I have to be able to rely on a team because now our team is structured. It's like me, then I have an executive team, and you'll see even when you go to the website, man, for Ink Education, you'll see our leadership team. We have an all Black leadership team. Like it's like, so from executives to managers to regional managers, our marketing manager, you know what I'm saying, our media manager, like everybody is Black, like male or female. And then we have, you know, the consultants. So I mean, it's a nice thing to see. And I just want to continue to bring this thing, you know, continue to we're already nationwide, but I want to continue to dive deep and continue to impact in ways that other people are not doing.
Powerful, man. It's like I said earlier, it's such an uplifting and a real beautiful story when you think of it. Because now what we're talking about is, you know, I'm thinking through the framework of the students who effectively can be working with you since kindergarten or first grade or second grade, and they can stay with you guys for a long period of time if they wanted to. And that's significant in its own right. And then the other piece of it is empowering us in these leadership roles. You know, that is such a great thing. People that look like us, that are in the education space, that are passionate about it, and have leadership capabilities, and like you said earlier, the one person you mentioned, allowing him to grow into that position from where he was as a tutor all the way to, I think you said tutor all the way to the COO position. That's really, really a dope thing. And then also, like, it can't be understated, the idea of hiring from within through referrals. There's two things that I think are really dope about that. One of which is, you know, like, we know word of mouth, we know how powerful that is. So you know what you're getting almost guaranteed, really, when you get a referral from someone who you trust. You pretty much are pretty confident about that, orders of magnitude more than applying through Indeed or something. And then, you know, the other piece is, like you said, now you have this, you said 105 people working there. That is it's a 100, not just 105 people, it's 105 people who are amazing at what they do, and you don't have to, like, worry about a bad apple type of a thing, which you would have to be thinking about if you hire from someone from externally, essentially. Really, really, just, man, uplifting stuff. And from my end, so I'm doing individual tutoring right now, and under my KMATS brand. And I was just talking to my brother the other day, right? So I'm thinking about, these two sort of different avenues right now for myself. Like, what are my biggest passions? Definitely educating. I love spending an hour with my students. I'm doing all virtually now, of course. It used to be all in person, now all virtually. But I love spending an hour working with my middle schoolers, my high schoolers. It's rewarding, it's uplifting, it's super exciting. That's one thing that I'm doing. And then the other thing is, I'll tilt the camera over here, but it's my music stuff, producing and playing the piano and going on Reddit and doing these live sets and taking requests and doing, like, it's like the most amazing thing for me when I'm sitting there and I'm playing something, I'm in my element. And before you know it, you have, and I'm sure you've heard of Reddit and know about Reddit, but I don't know if you use Reddit's public access network. I'm gonna drop a little thing that I think you guys definitely want to look at, because this Reddit public access network is basically their live streaming service. And when I tell you that it is the best way and the most effective way to reach an audience internationally, I'm telling you, like, after this session, I probably will actually hop on there and play for like an hour. But you go in there, and sometimes you have 20 random people across the world that join in and say, oh, this is dope, this is a vibe, this is cool, can you play this, whatever. Then sometimes you have tens of thousands of people at any given moment in your session, in the snap of a finger. And it's like, it's insane, because you're sitting there playing and you see the numbers go up, and then people are like vibing with you. And it feels like, as a musician, it's like, you're at a concert, you're at a stadium, you're playing for, in front of a whole bunch of people. And that is like the pinnacle of, like, where I know that I see myself going towards. The pinnacle is when I do those sessions. Playing the piano is super dope, but even more than that is when I play some music that I produce, like my sort of music that's destined for a video game or a commercial or YouTube channel, like that's my absolute passion. And when I play stuff for people who are like, yo, is this song released? Or yo, I never heard anything like this, or yo, like this type of feedback that I would never get from my brother or sister, or never get from my wife, or never get from friends, not because they don't support me, but maybe because they're not feeling the music. And that's fine, you know? But knowing that there's this whole other thousands of people across the world that are vibing with it, I'm like, okay, there's something to this. And that's where I see things going towards. So I say all that to say, like, I'm trying to figure out for myself, you know, which of these two do I want to scale? The tutoring thing for sure, financially, there's a, you know, that's a business. I'm able to monetize that immediately. The other stuff is a slower churn, and it's more of a grind to kind of make those connections and get placements and all that stuff. But man, if it won't be even like that rewarding once those things start happening, which they will in 2021. So I wanted to just share that this is like, I'm glad that we're talking and that we're connected, and I want to, you know, even continue the conversation. Like, I think it's super exciting to be able to share this video of two Black educators talking, who are both passionate about what they do, and in completely different, you know, spaces in terms of their timeline. But, you know, how hopefully it's showing through the camera how exciting it is to talk to someone who is on it the way that you are. It's like, it's dope, man. It's really a good thing.
I think what you're doing is totally awesome. There's a guy out here in Atlanta that does like math and music and like puts those two together, right?
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool. Y'all should probably definitely connect.
Yeah.
Send you his information later on. His name is Marcus. I can't remember his last name right now, but his name is Marcus.
Okay.
There is a way that he through the app that he places, like, you have to do math problems in order for you to play the music, like the hip hop songs and stuff like that. And it'll tell you the keys that you need to push to play the hip hop song, but you have to solve math problems to get to the it's crazy.
Ooh.
It's pretty
Love it,
cool,
man.
Yeah, man. Definitely want to. I think he actually was one of the I believe he's one of the winners for the that was one of the winners for the Google Black Founders Grant or whatever that recently was out.
Okay.
Yeah, you definitely want to. I want to try and reconnect with him sometime soon as well. But you definitely want to try and connect with him on that, since you do the whole music thing. And there's a lot of music people here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think that just to take your passion with that, and to be able to really focus on how you want to gauge an audience and bring them on board to what you feel that is the best for you to perform at your best every day, is pretty dope. I've never heard of that kind of that whole access network with Reddit before, because it sounds like almost sound like what's going on with Clubhouse, because when you go into that room, your audience kind of like goes up and people can hop in there and stuff like that. So I would say it's almost like a streaming situation, but via audio, right? So I definitely applaud that. The kids now, man, the students of today, because of the pandemic and things that are going on, they need different types of outlets to really not only be able to help them with the SEL perspective, right, but being able to really see individuals who are in those spaces, who then walk like them and talk like them. And I think that I never, man, I never, when I used to be looking at things, I'm like, well, I never thought I would come into a company, a tutoring company, and try to make it scale to like $1 million. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, I never thought that was going to happen, and without any kind of funding, right? Just straight bootstrap. That, like, it's hard work. You know what I'm saying? A service-based business to bring to $1 million is tough. It's not product-based, right? Where you could buy,
Right.
1,000 whatever, and then it takes you to $1 million, right? But
Right.
in service, there's a lot of customer service involved. There's a lot of testimonials involved. There's a lot of, you got to kind of really prove your worth in order for you to get where you need to be. There's a lot of folks need to believe in you. Some folks won't believe in you. It's just a lot of logistics involved in service-based businesses that make it very tough, and nothing to take against people that have products.
Yeah.
They do their thing too. But I just can tell you that I respect higher anybody that's in a service-based business, because it takes a lot more work to get to the top,
Mm.
right? It takes a lot more hustle. It takes a lot more grind. It takes a lot more sleepless nights to get anywhere close to being a really, really great, successful company, and have people believe in you, and have people write about you, and have people really, um, um, have buy-in in your mission and vision and what your company is doing, right? And you have to do the same thing when you bring people on your team, like to run with the company and be able to have 105 people who believe in the vision and mission of the organization is on not only tough, but it is something that people have to understand from a top level down, an executive team, that we really believe in them before we believe in anything else, because it's a highly human capital business. And
Yeah.
you have to really, really believe in your team, trust your team, and really show leadership that you care about them, right? And so that's
Right.
where we're at with that particular piece as well.
That's dope. Let me ask this then. So one of the biggest moments for me with my tutoring business was after talking to another entrepreneur and him sharing with me, like, the moment that you get your first customer who is willing to and happy to pay whatever price that you come up with for your service that you think your service is worth. When I first started tutoring, this was years ago before I had the business. My sister-in-law is a teacher, and I was just doing, one of her students I was going to work with on math. So I just said, I have no idea what to charge, whatever. So whatever you charge her, just do the same thing, right? So I was doing that. And little by little, once I started doing some research and kind of coming into my own and learning and educating myself on how to be an effective tutor, I ultimately started the business and came up with a price point, right, for myself to say, this is what I believe an hour's worth of my time for this service that I'm providing. And at the time, I remember thinking, like, not having doubt whether or not people would be willing to pay me this amount of money for an hour of my time, but just like maybe a little bit of doubt, let's say it that way, because I wasn't sure, right? I wasn't 100% sure if that was going to be the thing that happened. And I remember the moment that, someone asked, oh, I'm interested in your services, you share the price, and they're like, okay, cool, let's have a consultation. I'm definitely interested. And you lock that first person in. That was a huge moment for me in my business. So I want to ask you the same question. Like, you've had many successes in the 5+ years that you've had this business now. What's one of your biggest sort of just feel good, successful moments that you'd like to share with me and my audience?
I think I would say maybe the first client. I don't know if I felt the same way with my first client. I know that my first client was in the North Dallas area off of 635 and Hillcrest area. And actually, that client was in the same neighborhood as somebody who I think it was the person that came up with Miss Baird's bread or something like that. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
the mom owned a cleaning business, and dad owned a marble and granite company. And so I tutored both of the kids, one in geometry and one in calculus. And it was pretty cool to just see, wow, how can I really take these two students to where they need to be? My first, good client.
Yeah.
And I brought them where they needed to go. And it ended up being fun. Like I ended up being addicted to tutoring at that, after that. After it was just like, this is easy. Like, you can get paid to do what you like to do. What? Like, it was crazy. Like, what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yep.
that wildfire kept on going in me and my soul. And I was just like, I'm gonna keep on doing this for a hot minute. But I would say one of the best moments for me was being able to realize, like, how things that we kind of messed up on, right? Like operations. I was like, how's the model, the financial model work for us, right? Initially, we started out doing a percentage based type of situation, that, I mean, I mean, the goal is right. The business is make it a profitable business, but it was like more flat, like this. It was going up, but it was like flat.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, what do we need to do to get it to where it should be going like this? And when Clinton came aboard to help out with that in operations, man, and he's really great with the numbers and being able to make them work when it comes to pricing and building partnerships and programs. And I just let him do his thing. Like for me, like they always say, like it's the team for me, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
being able to delegate and trust your team to do stuff,
Yeah.
for me was like a great moment in terms of like, wow, I have been so in a point to be like stronghold, right? Like stronghold on the company. And I want nobody to do nothing but me because I'm the only one that knows how to do it. Like
Mm-hmm.
this. And being able to say, Jay, bro, it's okay. We got it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like that moment for me to where I could release the reins off of stuff that I'm used to doing all the time was
Mm-hmm.
like one of the best things ever. And I was just like, yo, even now sometimes I'm still a little bit like, hey, I gotta be involved, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
overall, I can't do that when there's 105 people on
Right.
the team anymore. Like I haven't been involved in the hiring process for like 2 years because
Mm.
all my regional managers do that now. I don't have to worry about that anymore. All I know is that somebody new is on the team. Cool, that's great. You know what I mean? I've never seen them. I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? But when I come back in town, I'm able to have, I take the team out to dinner. We have a cool update meeting, and we just get a chance to really share successes and stories in our different regions, and it's pretty cool. Now I just have to have the challenge of living in Atlanta and Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
do I do 3 weeks in Atlanta every month, and then I do a week or a week and a half in Dallas every month. So I fly back in between both cities, and while I'm in Atlanta, I'm Airbnb in my house out. So by default, guess what I did? Started an Airbnb business, right? So that happened, right?
Yeah.
So
Sure.
Airbnb my house out while I'm here, and then I'm looking at doing something similar. So it's just one of those things, man, where um, it's pretty cool. Like that's my biggest thing is how can I leverage time the best
Mm.
way to continue to have an easy flow to revenue generation, and the only way to do that is to scale and be able to duplicate your efforts with the competent staff.
Mm-hmm. That's, man, that definitely spoke to me as well. When I think about the things that I'm doing for my content creation, for my YouTube channel, making music, all these things, I have sort of a clear picture of what do I truly enjoy doing versus what do I not enjoy doing, but need to do in order to reach my goals, right? So one example of that might be, take our conversation right now. I love talking to guests. I don't love editing a video to make it that right amount of time where every moment of it is high quality, dope conversation, even though it's not going to be hard in this one because this is good stuff just across the board. But
Yeah.
keeping people's attention span, I'm saying, within whatever that 30 or 35 minute, like that takes work, time, and it's very meticulous, right? So I'm very much excited for the time when it comes for me to be able to say, all right, you know what, I can afford to bring someone on my team to do this and and what I'm excited, there's a specific reason that I think is really exciting for me. That's like a full circle kind of thing. Both of us come from corporate. I know that before I left corporate, one of the things when I was trying to figure out, what is it that I really could see myself doing in a corporate environment and being passionate about towards the end of my time there, I knew that I wanted to get myself into a role where I have people reporting to me, not for the reasons of, saying, "Oh, I'm a manager, I have employees," but for the reasons of saying, I want to hone in on these things that I think I have, or I know I have: leadership skills, compassion, care about other individuals, like all these things I have always been a part of me, and I've always felt that my leaders who had those things were incredible people. So I was like, all right, I could see myself, doing that. And, it never kind of materialized that way, of course. before leaving and going into education. But now I'm thinking, man, so now I can kind of get that going again on my own terms with my KL experience, content creation, stuff that I'm doing, and just the idea of that, and figuring out a way to be able to do it strategically and the timing for it, like you were saying earlier. That's extremely exciting for me, knowing that that's going to be there's a point in the future where I'll be able to use my creative skills and time to do some dope music stuff, and use my ability to interact with people and ask questions to do this, and then leave the other things for people who may hate doing music and hate interviewing, but love editing and love doing social media posts and stuff like that. And that's kind of what I'm thinking, like empower someone who likes doing that stuff, bring them on the team. And it sounds like you figured that out. And I'm happy to hear that, man. You know, it's really motivating and exciting to hear, you know, a success story like that.
I think one thing that I've given kind of hope to in the pandemic is the fact that here I am, right? Trying to continue to do things in this tutoring organization. But now in the pandemic, what happened, right? A lot of these educators are like, hey, I want to start tutoring too. Like, now you have like a lot of mini tutoring companies that are popping up out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
And at this point, I think I serve as like, it's, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I feel like I'm like that brother sister organization that has been doing this for a couple of years now. And I serve as an example for many people at this point. Like,
Sure.
how do these tutoring companies how are they able to scale up and do these things? And so I have to be that individual, be that person that says, you know what, this is what was done in my situation. Because for me to build Inc. Education now, there was nobody to come to. I never had a mentor, period. I never had a mentor in the tutoring space. I never had a mentor to guide me through the process. Never had a mentor who went through it. Never had nobody that actually built a tutoring company that was Black. First of all, never knew anybody that was able to grow a Black-owned tutoring company and scale it to anything. Like, so for me, I'm a little low-key salty, just a little bit, because I never had nobody to ask questions to.
Sure.
And I'm that guy, right? You know, somebody can now come and say, you know, hey Jay, a Black-owned tutoring company can say, hey, you know, I'm having troubles with operations. What do I do? I'm having problems with HR. What do I do? I'm having problems with, you know, this person's not working out. How do I talk to them to get them, you know, to get them to understand that this is what I need to do? How do I do marketing? How do I do, you know, pricing right? Like all these things people can ask now of me, right? Or of my team. And we can now help empower them to do things with students, only because, you know, sometimes it stops people from being successful because they don't have nobody to ask questions to. And it stumps them, right? They're like, yo, well, I can't really ask nobody to do this because wasn't nobody around.
Right.
But, you know, now people can call me and be like, hey, Jay, like, I want to do this, you know what I'm saying? So what do you think about that? Or they can bounce the ideas off me. And I'm really happy to be able to provide that kind of guidance to people at this point. You know, and like I said, we're just coming out of, right, the startup phase, right? We still operate like a startup, but you know, we're now at our 5-year mark, right? We didn't fail, which was great, because most Black-owned companies, and if at all any company, fail in the first 5 years. We've never been in debt. We've always been in the black, and we've always been a profitable company from day one. It's low profitable company at first, but now it's more of a definitely a profitable company at this point, to where, you know, when I'm looking at my CRM, I'm just like, yo, we did this today. We did this today. We did this week. Now it's a system, right? And so going into that, right, systems in place is very key for you know, for a tutoring company, right? And being able to know what structure you're going to be in the beginning. So you asked about, you know, to kind of tag on to what are those moments that I felt were great moments. It was like, oh, this is where I know I need to be a sole proprietor at this time. I know that I need to be an LLC at this point. I know I need to be an LLC S corp now, right? Because of just the scalability of the organization and the growth that we've had to save taxes, right, on a 13.5% versus the pass through rate for the IRS. We need to be an S corp at this point. So we moved our designation to an S corp now, right? You have to know as a business owner and have people that are in your corner. Like my CFO, her dream was to be a accountant for a startup.
Wow.
We ended up being that company, right?
Yeah.
But she's at a firm now, but she was like, man, it'd be dope to be, to do this for a startup company. And she ended up being our accountant, she was our finance manager or our accounting manager at first. But then she got moved from accounting manager to CFO, right? As you see, we're very pro push success from within the company. You know what I'm saying? Like, we moved somebody who was tutoring to a media manager because that's what they do. They like to do media, right? Somebody else she's a realtor and she writes children's books, and she just started an article was just written about her. She started a vending machine company, right? Like, these things she likes to do. So she likes to do things in marketing. So she's a marketing manager. Like, there's somebody who has been featured on Good Morning America in our company from, Goldman Sachs. I mean, there's so many, man, the talent that these people have is crazy. I'm talking about folks are doing like 3 or 4 things and they wouldn't know that if they didn't know the people, right? I got somebody right now who's one of our regional managers, our northern regional managers, and guess what? She's also a private chef. She's been featured in all kinds of media. Like, the list goes on. Like, our team is just dope. I can't even explain it. It's just there's no way you can tell me there's a team better than our team. Even if you took me out the picture, like, the team is it runs itself.
So. I love that. I hear the passion, and I love your ability to say it like it is when it comes to talking up your team in a genuine way that that's for no other reason than just to say, yo, I don't know how, like you said earlier, I don't know how, specifically we amassed this group of people who I respect so much, who I admire so much, and really think are just an amazing group of people, but somehow we did it. And it's a great and a beautiful thing to have that be a part of your organization. That's crazy and dope and amazing. That's really a nice thing, man. It really is.
And one thing that people always say, my COO always mentions this in company meetings and when we're in the public with people, that you have never heard me say in the 5 years of me running this organization that it is. He always says this. He says, y'all, Jay, the whole time I've known him, he has never not once said, this is my company. He has always said, this is our company. So for me, this is not a Jay's company. The media out there is, of course, I'm always the face, right? And I'm always involved, whether or not we do all these interviews and all these media things and all this stuff. And I've been in a lot of podcasts, like all this, I've been in a lot of stuff. But it's not my company. It's ours. It is we came up. We got the award. We made it to this. We were featured in Forbes. We were able to get to $1 million in revenue. We were able to build a great team. We were the ones that failed, right? Because there's times that happens. We got this success. We won this client over. It is always a we thing.
Yeah.
If I messed up, we messed up. If somebody else messed up, we messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
So for me, if we ever go public, which a lot of people have been asking, like, yo, Jay, we love y'all company. When y'all gonna have an IPO one day? And I'm like, I don't know, but when it does happen, it's gonna be lit. We will not franchise. I can tell you that right now. Everybody does that too. Will y'all ever have a franchise? No, because the model doesn't fit for us.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want a franchise. We don't want to have to worry about those kind of fees and all the ownership and that kind of. It just doesn't fit. So
Mm-hmm.
us, it'll be more so like we sold the company or it will go IPO. There's one or two.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Or the company will get passed down to people in my family or something like that. But other than that, that's the only thing that I can think of. And it's always going to remain a we thing for culture. I literally this Christmas I just passed, I got I got 5 books. No, I got 6 books for Christmas, and they're all entrepreneur books.
Mm-hmm.
The books is, the books that that Netflix employees get when they get hired at Netflix by Reed Hastings, that talks about culture um within the organization and a whole bunch of more things. Peter Thiel's book, um just a lot of really awesome books, and I'm gonna read
Mm-hmm.
them all. Just ordered recently too a book that was written by this CEO, the person who started what do you call it? What's the hotel chain? Ritz Carlton. So
Mm-hmm.
the guy that started Ritz Carlton, and it talks about the customer experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
these kinds of things are things that I read about to have to continue being the benchmark tutoring organization. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
How do we increase customer experiences? How do we continue to make people happy? Like, how do you think Chick-fil-A got to where they got to with their customer service? They didn't used to be that way.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So whatever they did, like, it worked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now they're known not. I mean, they're known for their chicken, right? Obviously, but they're known less for their chicken, and they're known more for their client experience when you go to the Chick-fil-A. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So for me, now it's about culture, client experience. How do we increase both experiences and make them great? And in order to do that, I have to really dive deep into reading these books and really seeing what the successes were for all these people that were true founders and that started their companies from scratch, but realized a lot of pitfalls along the way, but knew that at the end of the day, it's about culture and client experience. And that's the only way that you can scale in the greatest ways possible, because from those two situations.
Mm.
You know what I'm
That
saying?
makes so much. It makes so much sense. Are you an avid? Do you enjoy reading?
Yeah, I do. I haven't really listened to I really listened to a Audible book in a long time. I mean, I'm very, very busy, so it's hard to read.
Yeah.
I have to have a physical book. It has to be like right there. Matter
Mm-hmm.
um I'll go to my room and I'll tell you like what they are.
Yeah, for sure. I love to hear.
So like one of the books, I actually picked up a book on TED Talks, right? But funny enough, on TED Talks up to prepare for a TED Talk.
Mm.
I actually did 2 TED Talks before I even got the TED Talk book.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of interesting. But it's by Chris Anderson, who started TED. Um, the ones that I got for Christmas, so 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, right? Seth Godin, which everybody knows, right? A book called Lynchpin.
Mm-hmm.
Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Ries, right? The Lean Startup. And then Eric Ries did a follow-up book called The Startup Way.
Mm-hmm.
And then Reed Hastings' book was No Rules, Rules. And that was the book that's from Netflix. And the what is it? Netflix and the Culture of Reinvention, right? So these
Okay.
books are not only by, awesome founders, but those who, founded companies like PayPal, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you take the best of the best in the tech industry and apply that to the tutoring space for culture and client experience? And I
Mm.
think that will allow us to really propel in different ways going forward after 2021. So when I read these books, man, I really want to see what happens to our company. It's going to be
Yeah.
interesting.
How they result in transforming the company. That's really cool. I've had many people on my show talk about the importance of reading, and I know that I need to take that more seriously if I want to be successful, especially in the time frame that I'm envisioning, right? Because these are things that you can watch YouTube videos, you can listen to podcasts. These things are helpful, yes, but reading books are just, I'm saying it as if I'm an avid reader, which I'm not, which I want to get to a point, but I could imagine how much better that experience will be for you in the long run in terms of sort of soaking in all this knowledge, and therapeutic, like you said, the physical books. So you have the physical books there versus, oh, it's convenient having your iPad or Kindle, which is cool, but sometimes just having that book near the bedside will prevent you from reading. This happens to me, reading something on the iPad and then a notification or something pops up and then it's just out the window. It's just like, all right, that's it. Something else is going on. I hate it, man, but it's the reality. What can I say? So
Exactly.
I'm gonna ask you two more questions, then we're gonna wrap up. I could talk to you for hours, and I'd love to have you on again for a follow up, or even if you wanted. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud here for a second, but some of the people that you mentioned from your team at some point in 2021, if there's other folks that are interested in doing something similar and talking about their experience or anything, I would love to partner with you guys and showcase your talents through my platform for sure. I would love to do that.
I think that would be dope. I have a couple people in mind. My whole goal now is 2021, man. I'm trying to be less off media and more into diving deep into the company and doing other things with the organization and letting everybody else shine when it comes to the media stuff. Because I've done my due diligence. I've done 5 years of this. I have no more gas. Like, not being tired of it. It's just I need to grow people. You have to be seen, right? So that's a dope nugget, right? To grow people, you have to let them be seen. So that is my goal: is let everybody be seen this year.
Hey man, KL experience. Let's make it happen. 2021, bro. I'm all for that for sure. So I'm gonna ask you two more questions. First question is if you had a chance to put something on a billboard, what would you like to have on this billboard? It can be words, it can be a picture, it can be a combination. What do you think would be something that you would love to have on a billboard somewhere?
Man, I just had I had a shirt that was made, and in my mind, I'm like, dang, I'm trying to remember the quote that was on the shirt. Shoot, what was it? Poor is flashy. Shoot, it was poor is flashy, rich is poor is flashy, rich is quiet? Man, dang it. I wish I remembered what it was, but that's what I would have on a billboard. So I got to think of something else. If I was to put something on a billboard, I would say people are currency. That's what I would put on a billboard.
Okay.
Our currency. And what I mean by that is people are the lifeline of your business and the push of how transactions are created. Right? And what I mean by that is you can't run a business, one, by not scaling, but two, we talked about HR and talked about hiring people in my company, right? In the process of that. And when people are your currency and you exchange individuals to translate client experiences for your company, it will always translate to great revenue without sacrifice.
That's powerful.
So people are currency is what I would put on a billboard for sure.
So is that, let me make sure I kind of got that. Aside from customers king phrase or quote that I've heard before, we're saying that basically value your customers, value the people. When you say people, you're talking customers as well as your employees, or you're talking specific, like your clients?
I'm talking, I'm talking both people within your organization from an HR perspective and human capital, and I'm also talking about client experience. But first and foremost, the people within the organization.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Because guess what? If your people are your currency in your own company and they're treated well and you have a great culture, they're gonna always translate to treat your clients well. And
Right. Right.
that translates to revenue.
That's huge. Yep. 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 For sure. And that starts from your position, kind of setting that culture, setting the tone. Matter of fact, I talked to, I'll be happy to connect you guys as well. I didn't release her episode yet, but a friend of mine who is in the space of helping organizations set their company culture to align their actions with what they say that their culture is. So when you said that just now, it made me think right away of this long conversation that we had that's very, very relevant to what you just mentioned. So that's dope.
I think look, I think that's gonna be it. Whenever you decide to edit this whole thing, I think that's gonna be a dope tagline. People are currency. That's gonna be a
Oh,
dope.
for sure, man. Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm thinking about, ways, and I was just earlier thinking of it just now, but ways to like promote the episodes and what we're talking about right now, for sure. Like that, those three words on an Instagram, I got it already envisioned. Like I know how it's gonna look. It's gonna be dope. Some background music is gonna be dope for sure.
Yeah.
Last question I got for you, brother, is music question. I want to learn a little bit about you. If you have a chance to go to a dream concert of yours where 5 artists of all time, any artists, are going to perform for you, which 5 artists are going to be at your concert?
And that's currently alive, right?
Nah, all time, dead or alive, dead or alive,
Okay.
all time.
Definitely Drake. Because I've seen him perform twice, and his shows are phenomenal. Like
Uh-huh.
energy is wild. So Drake, Michael Jackson, Jay-Z, Nas, and I would say Tupac.
Nice. Okay. All right. I like that. That's solid right there. That's more than solid.
Yeah.
5 legendary artists. What is You may not have a favorite. Like if someone asked me what my favorite is, I don't know if I would say a favorite, but I'll say one that I like. But what's one of your favorite Michael Jackson songs?
Oh man,
I know there's a lot.
man. I love Billie Jean, man. I love
Oh
Billie.
my that man. So as a producer, I'm glad you said that. As a producer, did you get a chance to watch Quincy Jones documentary on Netflix from a few years ago?
A
Quincy Jones?
long time ago, I did watch it
You
once,
did?
but I can't.
Okay. So yeah, they were just talking about like how perfectly that song was produced, and listening to that track with some nice speakers and nice headphones, the bass line and the drums and the way it's mixed is just like mind blowing to me. It's an incredible track for sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
the music tones and just the way that um if you were to take, I used to, by the way, I used to play B flat clarinet. And
oh, nice.
so I do have a little bit of a musical background too.
Hmm.
The way that the musical tones, if you separate everything that's in that song,
Hmm.
um, it's really cool. Like everything that's in there, if you broke it down piece by piece, just the different instruments, the different musical tones in the song, and just everything that's in there, you'd be amazed at how much is really in there.
Hmm.
Right? It's almost like probably like 30 sounds, right? Or like at least
Yeah,
20 sounds that are broken apart to make the song. It's crazy.
it is wild. Matter of fact, as soon as this ends, I got my headphones right here. I will be listening to that song because it's been maybe a year since I've heard it, maybe like quite a while. So I'm glad you mentioned it. I definitely will be.
Yeah.
Um, I just want to say again for the third time, maybe more, that just very appreciative of you taking the time out. I know you're a busy man, and I'm just really excited to share the episode. I'm excited to have this episode to look back on for myself, to be inspired, as I'm inspired right now. And I just want to say, just continue doing what you're doing. Needless to say, but continue doing it. And I mean, it's a beautiful thing seeing a brother, educated, and not just doing something for yourself, and not just doing something which would be more than enough if you were doing something for yourself and for the students you're reaching, but now, like I said, giving this opportunity for others that look like us to really, really live their dreams in a way, right? Like you said, the young woman who's the chief financial officer, like that's major for her in her life to be doing what she's doing right now, and that's because you took the plunge and made things happen, way back when. So just dope stuff, Jay. Glad I reached out to you, and I'm excited to have an opportunity to talk to some more of your team down the road when the opportunities present itself. And let's definitely stay in contact, my bro.
Yeah, man, I definitely appreciate the opportunity. I always love doing podcast interviews with our Black and Brown family, only because there's not enough. Somebody was talking today about just being able to have exposure as our people. And to be honest, man, like nobody's gonna put us on unless we put us on.
Yeah.
There are individuals, I mean, in my space now, we've had great opportunities from all types of different avenues. But the way that I've seen the dynamic of not black owned tutoring company, but black owned companies, period. The reason why they don't always get to where they want to get to at scale and at large is because people didn't take the simple time to really dive deep into what they do that makes them great and expose them. And people don't get exposed. People don't know what they don't know. If I have the top black owned cupcake company, whatever, in Atlanta, and nobody's done a single podcast or written a single article, or they've been put on the news or anything like that, nobody's gonna know about them. But they're phenomenal in their craft, and nobody sees them. It's like going underneath the radar, right? And you can't come from underneath the radar unless somebody sees the great work. So for me, I don't really care about my piece of this right now because, like I said, we've done a lot already. Like we've been in a lot of stuff. But for those that are not, right, and maybe this could be a piece too, maybe in the piece when you do this. But for those that are not, it is very important for us to make sure that we still support us and we cover us, because at the end of the day, if nobody is able to do those things to expose what we're doing for the community, for people, for kids, for families, then nobody is going to know, and we're going to always be underneath the radar. So until we get exposed, we can't help others until we figure out how to help ourselves. And that's the only way that we're going to be able to be exposed and scale up and let people know about us and go viral, is when people continue to know the great people that are out there. So I say all that to say, I applaud what you're doing, and giving people like us a platform and a stage to sit on, to where we can talk about the great things that we're doing, not for self-fulfilling prophecies. And like I said, this is nothing to be, this is not about being vain. This is not about vanity metrics. This is about telling a story and be able to fulfill that story to impact people, to impact students, to impact parents, and to impact those who are struggling. Because quite frankly, now this is out, at the tail, hopefully tail end of a pandemic. Our kids have been struggling since March. It's now January. It's almost a year that they've been struggling.
Yeah.
What if we had no media exposure but you right now? What if you didn't take the time to say, hey Jay, let me go ahead and bring you on the show and get you out to our listeners and our viewers? What if we didn't have a Forbes? What if we didn't have an Entrepreneur Magazine? What if we didn't have all of that stuff that people, die to get into, right?
Yeah.
What if we didn't have that? So I definitely appreciate you giving us a platform. My favorite thing is to always do these kinds of things with our people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Versus doing it in the big media. And while I appreciate it, and I thank God that we got the opportunity to have that too.
yeah.
Uh, I don't. I take it a little bit differently when smaller platforms or small businesses are covering us, because to me that means that you run a business too, right?
Mm.
And take time out of your day to especially late. It's late, right? You took time out of your day to put us on, and I definitely appreciate that.
Very well said, and much love right back to you, bro. I appreciate those words. I really do. It means a lot, and it's inspiring for me to kind of continue doing this, and knowing that there's when I decided to start having people on this show, my first 10 or 12 episodes were just me. But I knew that eventually I wanted to start interviewing people. And the reason for that is, as simple as it might sound, it's very simple. Everyone has a story. Everyone has a story. Some stories are inspiring, some stories are tragic, some stories are uplifting, funny, whatever. Everyone has a story. And for me, what was just, and there's a lot of people interviewing people on many different platforms. So there's a lot of ways to get, to hear people's stories. I wanted to be a part of a way to give people a platform, to have someone from overseas who's 10 years younger than us, for example, that is thinking about what it might look like for him, someone that looks like us, or him or her, but what will it look like for this person to be able to reach these goals that he or she is thinking about being successful, but not seeing anyone in their circle or any family members or anything like that that even came close to what they're aspiring to be. And
Right.
to me, it's so powerful to hear stories like that, to hear people. It was for me just now. It was so inspiring for me to hear that. And I know that others are going to be able to kind of take some real value out of this. So just really appreciate it. I'm going to hit you offline too, just about just an idea. Matter of fact, I'll say it right now. When we're talking about your team and the fact that, your executive team,
Mhm.
like, you could kind of frame it up however you'd like to. But I'm thinking, how dope would it be to just be able to showcase, maybe start one level, beneath you, however many people that is, and just showcase them in 10-minute or 5-minute or 20, whatever time frame, like spots, to say, okay, this is the team kind of thing, and release those as a recurring thing. You have that, I have that for my audience, you have it for your content to be able to share with clients or whatever the case may be. We can collaborate on questions. There might
Yeah.
be some fun questions, like we just talk about music.
Mhm.
That's something that's exciting to me, to be able to partner in that type of way. And what's dope about it is, it's not it's not any old company that I'm doing this with. It's a company that is intrinsically attached to what I'm about, which is Black education. That's what I'm about, 1,000%. So it'd be really exciting and dope to make that happen in 2021.
Yeah, man, appreciate it, man. I'm gonna go back to the team and be like, yo, it's gonna be a dope collab. Like, we need to do this for the new year. So we're gonna I'll take great opportunities, make great things happen. And yeah, man, I think for everybody to come together for one common cause of our Black and brown students is, I'm dope. I mean, that's dope. I'm all for it. For sure.
Excellent, bro. I'm gonna give you the rest of your night back. Thank you so much again. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the evening, and we'll definitely be talking soon, brother.
All right, bro. Appreciate it, man. Have a good night. Stay safe.